Welcome to part 2 of this 3-part series on installing a shower. Step 1 will be figuring out your layout. In this case, I went with centered on the back wall as well as centered vertically. For the side walls, I went with a full on the outside with a cut on the inside. The next thing you want to do is to get your first row started. This will begin with you getting a level line where your first tiles will be cut and then marking, cutting, and installing that first row. You want to be sure this row is installed flat and level. The rest of the wall will go up easier once the first row is installed correctly. Be sure to skim the wall with thinset before installing your tiles. This will ensure a good bond between the tiles and wall. When cutting tiles for the top row, never assume the ceiling is level. You will want to measure where each joint will be and cut your tiles accordingly. Make sure you have full coverage when applying the thinset to the back of the tiles when installing. When installing the sidewalls, it's not as important to make it plumb because the reveal behind the metal edging can be too wide in some cases. Again, be sure to set that first row as accurately as possible, because the rest of the wall will have a better install. While I'm waiting for thinset to slake, I measure and cut the sill. I'll be using a 1/2-inch hole saw to drill for the shower head opening. I set the full tiles first on the side walls so I can make all my measurements and cuts at the same time. This method only works when doing straight stack pattern. The next thing I'll do is set out the floor tile so I can check a few different layouts and get my measurements for cuts. When installing a Schluter drain, you are able to move it, but will have better results if you keep the drain roughly in the center when making cuts around it to allow for any unexpected shifts when installing the floor tile. I'll remove the floor tile in reverse order to how I will be installing it. Spread thin setter on the drain and on about half the pan at a time, then install the floor tile, being sure to keep consistent joints and making sure the drain cuts are set properly. When installing the tiles on either side of the curb, be sure to skim before setting so your tiles are properly bonded. Make sure your sill is level and has a slight slope towards the shower. Once your shower tile is fully installed, you will be good to grout the next day.